Good evening. As a preliminary matter, this is John Regan, Chair of the Auburn Planning Board. Permit me to confirm that all members are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Ronald Brooks.
Present.
Todd Corain.
Present.
Rakesh Nallen.
Present.
Sierra, is she online?
No.
Sierra Samara is not here. Town officials and employees participating, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Town Planner Adam Menard.
Here.
Staff Assistant Danielle Chamberlain Roberts.
Here.
Good evening. This open meeting of the Town Auburn Planning Board of Tuesday, March 28th, now called to order at 7 p.m. This meeting being conducted in both person and remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order, March 12, 2020, and extended to June 16, 2021. For this meeting, the Planning Board is convening in person and by remote access. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-312-757-3121 and enter access code 133-747-477. The public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/133-747477. Remote access information has been posted on the town's website identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded by the Auburn Cable Television. Is there anyone here in the audience tonight recording tonight's meeting? Being none, accordingly, those members of the Planning Board, employees, and members of the public who participate remotely, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please rise and join me in the salute to the flag. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website. Meeting business ground rules. I, Chair of the Board, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the Chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Please remember to speak clearly and into the microphone in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. I would like to remind the audience, applicants, town administration, and each of the planning board members to please refrain from asking questions in regards to all matters discussed this evening without first being granted my consent. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. First on the agenda is A&R Hampton Street and Eaton Ave. Is there anyone here representing them? Please go to the mic over there, please. Oh.
So, John Plifka from McCarty Engineering, here representing the Danquah Realty Trust. We're presenting 8 A&R lots fronting on Easton Ave and Hampton Street. 7 of the lots are fronting on Hampton Street, and the 8th fronting on Eaton Ave. In addition to the 8 lots, we are correcting a slight encroachment that Eaton Ave previously had on the parcel, and at that I'd open it up to questions.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Samara, do you have any questions?
No.
Rakesh, you have any questions?
Chair, one question. So on the parcel A, that's still the plot that's being conveyed to the city, their town?
That's correct.
Anything else, Rakesh?
No, at this point.
Rod, do you have any questions?
I don't have that little schematic here.
Todd, do you have any?
I don't.
One thing I found confusing is you have 8 lots, the 8th lot being on Eaton Ave. It's actually lot 1 that's on Eaton Ave. The other 7 are on
Oh, correct. Did I misspeak on that? I'm sorry.
Let's wait.
I-
The way it
yeah,
reads,
seven
like
seven
Lot
of the
8 is-
lots are on Hampton Street, and one of the lots, Lot 1, is on Eaton Ave.
So there's quite a drop-off between Hampton Street and these lots. I mean, it's like straight down.
Yeah.
How do you guys plan on making that lot accessible from Hampton Street?
So we haven't gone through the grading exercise yet. We were subdividing the lots, and then later down the line, that'll be addressed.
Is there still a chance you may want to bring in a road from Eaton Ave?
At this time, no. Not.
I noticed you left enough space to put one in between the lots. Ron, you have any questions?
We're just here for the A&R lots tonight.
Just the grade coming off Hampton Street.
Yeah, well, they're not applying
The
to,
fact that are they or aren't they at this time? You said you don't know whether or not you'll be bringing a road in.
Yeah, tonight I'm just here for the A&R, the
Subdivision.
A&R lots.
they can't do any building there till they come before us again anyway, so. You all set? May I have a motion to approve the subdivision on Hampton and Eaton Ave as shown?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Rakesh? Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, and aye, it is a vote. You're all set.
Thank you.
Are we gonna sign this? I'm gonna put a cap on that. There we go. See, 28th.
The plan to schedule public hearings and do the new ones first.
Gotcha. Sign. Do you have any more plans to sign?
No.
Let you get up and speak it. Came from work.
Next on the agenda is applicant Kimley Horn Associates requesting site plan approval under section 3.2.6.1 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a self-storage facility at 319 Washington Street, Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 42, parcel 31. Is there anyone here representing Kimley Horn? Yep. May I have a motion to open this hearing?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Myself, John Regan, aye, it is a vote. Now open.
All right, good evening, board members. Thank you for hearing our application. My name is Casey Hart, and I've got Russell Orlick with me as well. We're from Kimley Horn. We're the civil engineers for this project. So tonight, we're presenting on a self-storage project that is located off of Washington Street. It's just south of the Santander Bank. So this existing site is undeveloped. It's around 9 acres in total. There are wetlands in the western corner of the property and a National Grid easement that bisects the property as well. Our application is proposing 2 bi-level self-storage facilities. The southern building, which is rectangular in shape, that will house drive-up storage facilities, and then the more square building, which is to the north, is going to be climate-controlled. There's around 140,000 square feet in total of gross floor area. As I mentioned, it's a bi-level buildings on both of them. Access to the site is provided by a full access off of Washington Street. We did perform a traffic study, and this use is only going to generate 13 vehicle trips in the AM peak hour from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., and 22 trips in the PM peak hour from 4 to 6 p.m. So in total, these volumes in the peak hours are less than 1% of the total roadways volumes. So definitely a use that generates a small amount of additional trips to this roadway network. Additional improvements that we're proposing are utilities, stormwater management, and landscaping. Due to the presence of the wetlands in the western corner of the site, we did have to go before the zoning board to get a special permit approval for increasing the amount of impervious on the site. So we did go before them back in January, and we got their approval. We are not planning to impact these wetlands at all, nor are we going to touch the 100-foot buffer around those. So far, we've received comments from the building department, water and sewer district, fire department, and National Grid as well, and we're amidst addressing comments from them. So with that brief overview, I'll open it up to any questions. We also do have James Hannaran here as well. He's with Triton Storage, so if there's any specific questions for him, we can pull him up as well.
Anyone in the audience have any questions? All right, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
You gotta come up to the mic, please.
You come up.
Like I said, Gary Bertrand, 148 Millbury Street. Where is this exactly located? The old Tupco building?
No, it's just south of the Santander Bank, so
You know where McCracken Road is? You got Santander Bank, the next lot between Santander Bank and Old Common Road on Route 20.
Right, that access, if I'm not mistaken, was originally, any access to that piece of property was coming through Santander Bank, number one.
I don't know about that.
Because number two, they didn't allow for a curb cut on that Route 20 at the time they put Santander Bank in. Then the other question I'm gonna have there is a multi-level. At what level are you gonna bring that material up to and build on, and how tall is this gonna be as a multi-level? Because my house is right there, looking at it.
As far as a curb cut, they gotta get permission from Mass DOT for that. We can't give them permission for that.
Okay, you probably have to look back and see where your access property entrance and exit only through Santander Bank's curb cut, not Route 20 back in the day. If you can look at your,
I don't know, maybe
History files.
Santander Bank owned the whole thing at once, and now they sold that lot off? I have no idea.
that Santander Bank, if I'm not mistaken, is leased property from William Reisner.
I have no idea.
I have to go back to the records.
Yes, I'm-
I have no clue about that.
Yeah,
More
somebody have to
before
look
my
that
time.
up, because that's our recollection and the whole, we recall that happening. Because
What
then
is
if you have another access of Route 20 and you have, what's the next road down there? Old Common.
Common Road.
Old Common's a disaster as it is.
Well, and then you got the other street coming in right across from Old Common Road.
Absolutely, that's a disaster. So, my biggest concern would be the elevation as a multi-story, because like I say, I live in that red house in the corner of that hayfield right there.
Appreciate your
'Cause if I'm not
comments.
mistaken, that property is gonna be raised up because of the water table as well, just like Santander did. Because back in the day, when they took that material out to fill the Worcester dump, to cover the dump, they took that too low, then they had to obviously raise it back up. History will show all that.
Yeah, that was really well below the Route 20 when they got done with it.
Well, it still is now, that lot still is. Thank you.
Can you address his concerns about?
Yeah,
filling?
so we have not uncovered any covenants or restrictions that, require us to put access through the Santander. We can look into it, just to make sure we're checking our boxes there. In regards to the elevations, it is gonna be a two-story, and I'll confirm with our architect the exact height and get you a response on that. But we are proposing to keep the site relatively level with Washington Street. So we actually have a retaining wall in the rear of the site, so it's going to be sitting lower. Is your property behind the site, or?
Direct abutter to that site,
Okay,
yes.
yeah,
We're on top of what used to be that whole field came right down to the road, and it won't get level.
yeah.
We're just concerned about the height, number one, and if you're, I don't know, I'm not the historian, but I think you guys gotta do your homework on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's gonna be raised up because of the water table.
Okay, yeah, we'll look into it.
Not pretty the research on that either, so. But how tall will the building be from there?
2 stories, I believe it's 20 to 25 feet, but I'll get you an exact,
It's a sloped lot, so it won't go above the back height. The back height of the lot, the building will be below that. So if you're above, you're on the back side. Right? So it would be below your tree line, your lot line. Your lot's higher elevation than our lot, correct?
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, so you'd be looking down.
Well, that all depends.
It's not gonna be above.
Right, all depends on how far from the street it is, the angles and whatnot. That's a couple concerns I have is access. Number one, you have to do your research and find that out for sure. Because, I guess I can do some research on it. And then obviously, number two is obviously a town issue. There are 3 intersections right there. I can't believe they didn't let that happen. Not that, I believe they had access coming into that property of Billy Risner's all from Noble Street at the time. I could probably look up the old plans back in the day. You probably still have them, being involved.
Yeah, we'll look into the Santander issue. That in regards to our traffic study, it was favorable for the access off of Washington Street. So self-storage, I mean, not a lot of people are accessing,
Oh,
but
yeah,
yeah.
I understand that part. I have no problem with that. Just that at the time, Sonotone couldn't access Route 20, but now, and with what's going on, the traffic history of that area,
Washington would be a better access.
Right, but very,
Very little traffic flow for self-storage.
understand that the history of that intersection, just south of that. West of that is tough.
Explain again.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Both of those buildings are slabs, right?
Say that again, sir?
Slab foundation.
Yes.
Does anybody on the board, anybody else in the audience have any questions? Samara, do you have any questions?
This is Ryan. Can you hear me? This is Ryan with National Grid.
Okay. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to say we just received the plan set, so we haven't had a chance to fully review them and get our comments back to the applicant.
It's out for
however,
peer
I
review
did
now anyway, so
send
they're
them the
not gonna get a
information.
decision tonight.
Pardon me?
It's out for peer review now, they're not gonna get a decision tonight. This meeting
Okay.
will be continued, so you'll have time to review.
Okay. Sounds good.
Any other questions?
No.
Samara, what's it? Rakesh?
I have a few questions. I think maybe I can start with the parking spaces. So I think, so from an industrial zoning perspective, and Adam, you can correct me here, we require a space per 2,000 square feet, right?
I'd have to go back and look at the specifics. It's
Somewhere around that,
usually one per employee and then
okay.
somebody for customers.
Because I think if it's going just with the square footage in the bylaws, then, you know, I mean, we have 30, I think you were looking at 34 spaces, but we might need, if it's 70,000, then we might need more. If it's 140,000, we might need more as well.
140,000 divided by 20, 70. How many do they have?
They have 34,
We'll have to double that.
but that's why I'm not sure what the requirement is.
Neither am I.
The other thing is, so, just, I think for the, Casey and Russell here, the two lots, are the two buildings, are these two separate units, or are they combined as one? I'm assuming they're combined as one property, right?
Yeah, on one property, yep.
Yeah, but it's two different buildings, right?
They're two separate buildings.
I think. Are they two separate buildings?
Correct, yep.
Are they both two-story and one story and one two-story?
They're both two-story.
And then, so would the ADA parking spaces, would there be a requirement to have ADA spaces on each side of these buildings? So one, a couple of spots on one building and then another couple of spots on the other side?
So for the ADA, we've placed it near the northern building, the rectangular, because people would be walking in. There's an office there. For the other building, it's drive-up stalls. So realistically, they are driving up to their stall, getting out and accessing it, so.
Okay. And then and I know National Grid is reviewing this as well. So there is an easement in between these two buildings, right? So now, is there a transfer? Is there any requirements or restrictions for you to access the easement?
Yeah, we can't propose like any physical structures. We're only proposing our driveway across it so we can basically get access. But yeah, I believe there are height clearance restrictions as well. So we'll be going through that detailed review with National Grid.
Okay. And then I know, so I think fire, sewer, and water have provided their feedback. I think we can talk about that in a second, but, where is this one more question? Yes, so from the description here, there is a mention about larger storage facility that requires full utility. So where would those come in? Would those be on the left one or the right? Where would those storage units come in? So there are larger facilities that are, that require full utilities, while smaller facilities would only require electrical service.
So both of the facilities will get electrical service. The rectangular building will not have a bathroom within it, so it won't have water, domestic water or sewer connected. It will have fire line connected because it will be sprinkled. The square building on the north side will have the full gamut of utilities because it does have that office space.
Okay.
All set, Duarkesh?
Yeah, I think it's all.
Ron?
Yeah, as the gentleman spoke earlier about the groundwater, I remember that, I'm not sure what it was, but you should check with building and code, because when we approved that Santander site, there was something with the way they cut the clay out for the Worcester landfill, that they went, I think, into groundwater or below ground. There was something about it, so, and that they were possibly gonna have to raise it. I don't recall anything with Santander or an exit for anybody else having to go through there. I do know that we, I think, pushed them to go off Millbury Street because we didn't want them to go in right there at the intersection where the road, where Millbury Street already came up.
You got another comment, sir? Don't walk up, just speak loudly. I'm not gonna make you walk up.
One thing I was a little confused was, I think we're getting our east, west, and north and south wrong. You're on the west side of something, correct?
Correct.
Somewhat, yeah.
This here's south, and I'm getting a little confused with east, west, south, so.
Yeah, I would say southwest, but yeah, yep.
Right, I assume you're, I guess you guys will address this later on, you're pumping sewer up to the line?
Yep, exactly.
Anything else, Ron?
I'm all set.
Todd?
Yeah, with respect to, I apologize if this was covered in your traffic report, I don't recall seeing it. Did your traffic engineer do a crash analysis? I know that the intersection at Washington and Millbury is a high crash area within the town. And I know that the police chief has voiced concerns previously about crashes in this area with Mass DOT. And your proposed driveway is fairly close to that intersection?
Yep. So they did do a crash rate analysis, and there was a road safety audit that was performed in 2021 that recommended installing advanced signage for the signal along the northbound approach, and additionally some pavement markings. So those are, relatively simple implementations that we, I think, can make and coordinate with MassDOT to make that intersection a bit safer. So yes, they did do that analysis, and it should be detailed in the traffic study.
Okay. One other question, would you be amenable to a right turn only out of that driveway? Because one of the high crashes in that area are people trying to, come out of the gas station and go left towards the Pike. So this would be a lot safer.
Yeah, we have discussed that. If, that's the town's position and MassDOT as well, I think we would be amenable to doing that.
I believe the fitness gym across the street has right turn only.
Yes, they do.
Correct.
Yep.
Very simple.
Yep. So that is something you're amenable to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I got a few questions on sheet C 3.0, where it's your overall erosion and sediment control. On the portion of the land that abuts Old Common Road, I'm assuming it's above, on the page, it's above the wetlands down in the right-hand corner. You have no silt fence there, and your grade slopes down there the whole way.
Are you talking directly adjacent to Old Common? So we have a diversion ditch that's planned to pick up any sediment-laden water, and then that would be piped to the sediment trap, and then below that sediment trap, we have silt fence, which...
Right, but any work to the northeast portion of that, any work there while you're digging your trench or whatever, you can have runoff. If you have a rainstorm, it's gonna run right down on Old Common Road. You need a silt fence all the way up Old Common Road.
Okay, yeah, we can add silt fence in, lining Old Common.
Couple more questions. On your sheet, C 3.6, the erosion control and sediment control details, you have silt fence but no wattles or hay bales in your detail.
Okay, we will add those in.
Okay, this is kind of picayune, but your bollards for your handicap signs, steel pole filled with concrete, painted yellow, is that galvanized or non-galvanized?
It'll be galvanized.
Or you're gonna have a hard time getting paint to stick to it. If it's not prepped properly, I would suggest you can do what you want, but the plastic things that go over it, and it's covered. And then up above that, on typical sidewalk detail, you call for 8-inch dense blended gravel. What is dense blended gravel? I've never heard that term.
I mean, we can add a specific MassDOT specification on the gravel to,
And then on your C 5.0, the way it looks to me that you have your drainage outlets headed toward Washington Street. You can't exit your water onto Washington Street.
yeah, we'll add further detail. There should be a defined channel that's going towards the wetlands. Everything is going, in existing conditions, all the off-site water is draining towards the wetlands, so we'll make sure we add sufficient detail so it depicts that.
Your ejection station on the front side of the square building for your sewer? You have a line drawn up, and I understand it's a sewer force main, but you don't really show what you tie into. It just ends. You have no line drawn on the plan at all for the existing sewer.
Yeah, we've obtained as-built from the Santander, so we'll get that additional information for the tie-in.
Because it
added
looks
to the
like you're
plans.
supposed to tie into a Y on that sewer main. I'm not sure.
There's an existing cap in the utility easement,
Yeah, a cap is either on a Y or a T.
so we'll be replacing it with a manhole and tying in to the cap there.
So the pipe just comes down and dead ends and capped? That's it?
Yes.
So you're gonna put a manhole there?
Yes.
You need to show that. You're gonna show that. I think that's all I have. Let me just double check. On your proposed lighting, did you have a light study done?
Yeah, yep, we have a photometric.
Because you can't get any, none can go on the road, either road, none can perforate somebody else's property, like the gentleman that's abutting the property, he doesn't want to see your lights. I know you're low, but still,
Yep.
if they're not hooded properly, they will. So I would, if you have a lighting study, I would suggest you present that. And the only other comment I had, if I read it right from the fire department, they suggested you make your entrance in and off of Old Common Road. You have room to do it.
Yeah, we're coordinating with them, so we'll have, further, I guess, answers at the next meeting, if that's something we implement, but preferably we'd like to keep it off of Washington. Maybe we add an additional entrance off of Old Common, but just for site access, we would like to have our primary entrance off of Washington.
Well, if you put it off Old Common Road, it alleviates a lot of traffic problems for you. because he asked if you do a right turn only, I'm gonna ask you to put in a right-hand lane coming towards Worcester on Route 20. Right turn only on that right-hand lane. That means you're gonna have to widen the road with MassDOT permission and have a right turn, that way the people are off the road and out of the, because that light backs right up 20 in both directions, depending on the time of day. So if you had a right lane to the right, like they did down on the next industrial park down there on the left that they're building now, they had a right lane built for a right-hand turn to get everybody off of Route 20, so they didn't hold up 20. That would be a suggestion I'd make.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment.
Another question?
Same as well as I would have is coming westbound on Route 20. You need to take a left turn across eastbound traffic, get into that piece of property. You come up over a hill or a set of lights, I live here, and we know the traffic's there.
It's-
That's an issue there, and you really look at hard.
That's another reason to come down and take a left on Old Common Road instead of being mid on that slope. It is a high crash area, I mean, plus you got
Right
the.
in, right out.
What's that?
If it's gonna come in off of Washington, it should be a right in and a right out only. So no one can make that left turn. And you can design your driveway to not allow a left turn unless they really do a funky movement.
So my question would be, if I was a prospective customer, how do I turn around if I'm heading west on 20? There's no jug handle till you get all the way down to Ronnie's, past Ronnie's. You can't make U-turns at the lights. That would be my question.
I believe the way it is now, if somebody's going to that gym and they're going east on Washington, so they're going up, they can't make a left now because I believe it's a double.
No, they have to go up and make a left
They make a
on
left at the
Auburn Street.
intersection and then they make a
It'd
left
be the
into
same
the
thing for our
driveway.
customers, they could only get in going eastbound and then exit again going eastbound. Right and right.
Right, but I mean, if somebody's coming westbound on Route 20, like the gentleman behind you said, they're gonna make a left-hand turn.
That's not legal. I don't think,
It's not illegal.
I think.
Well, you can design the driveway so that, again, it's a splitter island. So it's difficult for them to make that movement around and then to come in if they're gonna make a left turn from Washington in. It's all about how they have designed the driveway coming in.
You ever hear the expression? No matter how much you improve something, they always come up with a better idiot. I guarantee you someone run over that island. Just like over at O'Reilly's, they're not supposed to go out onto the side street, they go on the side street anyway.
No matter what we do, somebody's gonna do something.
Yep. But that's why I would suggest the entrance and exit right on Old Common Road. It alleviates all that, and it keeps the intersections the same, without adding another traffic. That way they can come down 20, take a left on Old Common, because you can, come up Route 20 heading east and take a right on Old Common Road. And your driveway would be outside of the wetlands area. That's all I have.
John, I had a couple more thoughts, I think, on the fire department's comments. I think it'll be important to look at the hydrants. You know, they're requiring you to put 2 hydrants. I think that's important.
Yeah, we've been coordinating with them, and they've provided a few locations that they'd ideally like to see those, so we'll implement them in.
And then, I think going back to that sprinkler system as well, I think that's something to look at. And then, I think there were other comments from sewer. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that. Sewer and water, I think they had comments as well.
Yes, they provided comments and we've started addressing them as well.
Ron?
John, they may already know, you might have mentioned it, but on the lighting, with respect to your lighting diagram, it has to be 0-foot candles at the property line, all the way around.
Yep, yeah, we'll do a detailed presentation on the next meeting, but yeah, we've designed it within code and not spreading light across property lines or into the right-of-way.
Anyone else? Anyone else in the audience have any questions? May I have a motion to continue to our next meeting?
I'll make
that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, and I, as a vote. We'll see you at the next meeting, if the peer review
Thank
gets in
you.
on time. Next up on the agenda tonight is applicant Eastland Partners requesting a site plan approval under section 3.2.6.0 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a warehouse distribution facility at 190 Washington Street, Lot 1, Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 34, parcel 4.
Motion open? Open.
Can I make a motion to open?
I was going to.
Second.
Gonna turn right around and do that. Still setting up. Can I have a motion to open the hearing?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Ron?
Aye.
I didn't call your name. Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Rodriguez, and I.
Adam wants to get out of here.
Meeting is now open. Why?
Good evening. For the record, Travis Brown with Turning Point Engineering, here representing the applicant Eastland Partners is Chris Horn. This is Lot 1 of the Auburn Commerce Park subdivision that you folks are probably well aware of now. We've permitted the other two sites. One of them is built as of this time. So this is Lot 1, so this is the lot that fronts out on Route 20 that you probably drive by. Just for reference on the plan, as it may have been a little while, so on the bottom of the page is Route 20. We have the access to the subdivision, which is here. That road heads down to the cul-de-sac back in this location, if you remember from the definitive subdivision that was approved. We provided this emergency access that came up through Lot 1. We're maintaining that. That'll provide access to fire department to loop around the entirety of the property. So the applicant is proposing a 102,000 square foot building, warehouse distribution facility. There's no known tenant at the time, so this is speculative. So we've done a lot of work with the applicant to come up with a plan for this property that includes some potential office space at either end of the building. Parking will be provided here and also at the other end of the building. This will have 26 loading docks in this location on the back of the building. The access to this property would be off of that subdivision road. So as you come into the subdivision, to the left, you would access into this lot. You would come up, trucks would come in here, maneuver back into those loading docks, load and unload materials, and then exit in the same location. If you were an employee here, you would come in to this parking lot here, presumably, and/or into this end of the building. This will be on public sewer and water. If you remember, the sewer was brought from a pump station here. We provided gravity up that emergency access road with a manhole. That's the manhole that will tie in, so that sewer will flow down there into that existing pump chamber. There'll be public water as well. We have received comments from the fire department. In a meeting, follow-up meeting with them, they have requested that we move the sprinkler room in the building, which was in the middle of the building. They've requested a location at this corner. They've also requested 3 hydrant locations, which will be shown on the revised plan. So in this location, in the back, and then a 3rd hydrant here. That loop for the subdivision, that water line loop will be connected, will be looped through this property. We have received comment, like I said, from the fire department, from the sewer department, also from Graves Engineering. We're at the point where we've addressed all the comments. We would be filing a revised set of plans, so any input from tonight will take that into consideration and catch that with a revised set of plans. So that's the site. Happy to answer any questions about that. We have prepared a rendering of the facility. I'm not sure how well you can see that here. But up here would be Route 20. So that's Patrick Mazda across the street there. Here's the subdivision road coming down. So you have this access road that comes up into the property. This would be the rear of the building. Route 20 would be out on the front there. That's about it from a site perspective. Happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone in the audience have any questions for this gentleman? Please come to the mic.
It's up there. sit there too. They can sit there too.
That's true.
And I said I was going to stay quiet. Doreen Goodrich, 5 Lower Winbrook Drive. First of all, let me just say to the board, I appreciate your comments at the last hearing about your concerns for traffic and turning lanes, et cetera, because living in that area of Route 20, specifically this section, and seeing what has happened already is concerning. So I do have several questions and a couple comments. Same comment as last time. The fear of the unknown. We don't know what building is going in here. When we talked about the last trucking company, we were told that it was a 5-day operation, that they would be Monday through Friday, 3 shifts a day, which is a lot, but you would have the break on weekends. There's constant truck traffic coming out of that new trucking company on Saturdays, sometimes on Sundays. So if you don't mind flipping your page over, I have a question on the plan. And I do appreciate the comments at the last hearing because, I apologize if I was wrong, but I thought you guys had said that you had...
If I remember correctly, Doreen,
Yes,
the hours of operation was Monday through Friday till noontime on Saturday, nothing Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, or Sunday. That's on the record here somewhere in a film.
okay, well, it's more than that. So I guess, so I'll finish my comments first. The hours of operation. So I'm wondering if the developer can let us know, and I'm sure anyone who's driven down Route 20 can see how much they've cleared for the proposed project with Mass DOT under Mass DEP for the additional turning truck lanes. So I'm wondering if we have a timeline on that, when that project will be complete. One thing I hope not to see again is when they did the work on the road and made these temporary travel lanes. Anyone who lives in the area can tell you they dug up the road, they put I don't know what you call it, I call them bumps all over. And for a period of time, there were no lines. You didn't know where you were supposed to be in the lane, and it was a nightmare. It truly is. I encourage you to just spend a little time on that part of Auburn. But my question on this specific plan, since we don't know what type of operation going in there is, in the driveway, how many tractor trailers can be in queue before this? You're telling me that they're accessing Commerce Road, right? How many tractor trailers can be in queue coming out of the development that would block access to that road?
From the main access into the site driveway,
How many, from Commerce Road
2 tractor trailers.
can be in, no, I'm talking about in queue on Commerce Drive. Yep,
2 trucks before you're blocking access.
2 trucks. Yeah, so, sometimes there can be 4 or 5 trucks, so what happens when you have other trucks coming off of Route 20 and can't get in there because if you can only have 2 trucks in queue, yet you could potentially have 4 or 5 in the morning. And again, I urge you to visit the site and see it. You can have 4 or 5 tractor trailers in queue trying to pull out of the site in the morning, and traffic in and out could potentially be a nightmare.
What is the distance from Route 20 to that access road to the building? You said you have room for 2 in a queue.
You're talking probably 170 feet.
170?
So 53-foot trailers and the truck.
Well, the longest trailer truck you can have on the road is 75 feet, so they're just making it with 2.
Yeah, I'm a family of truck drivers.
So, I'm sorry, continue, Doreen.
So that's one of my, overall, this project has had, when we've moved forward, a lot of unknowns, and I'll ask the developer again, it still hasn't been addressed. It doesn't affect me, but, I looked at the plans for the Mass DEP project there where you're doing the turning lanes, and it says on the thing, apparent encroachment, and I know that there was discussion at the very first Board of Selectmen meeting about, you know, reassuring those neighbors that they were going to be okay, and nothing has happened with that either. So I just feel that this project is moving quickly, moving large, before we know when Route 20 is going to be complete, what type of businesses are going to be in there. I mean, I'm not a NIMBY, I know it's going to happen, I just want the safest thing to happen. I see what's happening on Route 20, and it's frightening, and wait until the summer hits when the Mass Pike, as we all know, backs up, and everyone gets off on Route 20. It's a nightmare, and not all of you, but many of you know, my heart is here in Auburn. I don't just care about myself, I care about the entire town, and this project is concerning me right now.
I understand.
Thank you. So if you can allay some of our fears, especially with traffic, safety, and the, you know, property that you cleared. I still don't see turning lanes, you know, right there. It drops down, what, about 30 feet, how you'll do turning lanes. I still don't understand, or I can't envision what these turning lanes will be, and maybe once they're complete, you know, we can all feel better that there are some safety measures in place. But right now, that section of Route 20 is not safe. And if you have vehicles coming, I do know my directions, from the west, up over that hill, right as you hit that section of property, the car dealership and this, if there's anyone stopped there, you're going to have another accident. And the chief has also expressed his concerns about safety in that area. So I'd like a lot more information, please. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else in the audience have any questions? Please do.
Barbara Kolosky, I'm a Winbrook resident, and the recent clearing of that Lot 50 for supposedly the expansion of the road, it took everybody by surprise. I mean, nobody knew it was going to happen. They just went in there and bulldozed the whole forest. We now have direct lighting from the Honda dealership pouring down on the homes along there. And we're just wondering what's going to be done about this in the future, now that they've destroyed all that trees. So we have a lot of residents there now that, you know, the lights from the Honda deal are completely in our windows. And there's very few trees left there, so come summer, you know, there's still going to be a lot of light coming down.
If there's
And
lighting...
we just wondered why we weren't notified they were going to go into the 50 lot and do the work. As an abutter, we should have been notified about this.
If you have light pollution coming from Honda, that means their lighting isn't staying inside their lot. That's something you have to talk to the building commissioner about. We have no control over that, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Caleb can make a decision on that to get them to cut the lighting back so it stays on their property. So when you put the shade up at night, take a look out the window, you're not being beamed on.
Well, and again, when they widen the road, I would assume they're going to put streetlights and more lighting on the road, which is now, like I said, it's completely barren of trees.
Well, as far as the clearing, I believe they had permission to do that, right?
They would have had to go with the Conservation
Yeah,
Commission.
Conservation Commission had to approve that. We don't approve clearing Conservation.
There was no public notice it was going to happen, and as an abutter, Eastland is always saying they want to be our good neighbors. They didn't have the decency to notify us they were going to be in there taking all the trees out. I mean, as an abutter, shouldn't we have been notified this was going to happen?
I'll have to look at Conservation. I don't know what Conservation did or did not do.
Go ahead.
Just so we're dealing in facts, yes, we have a permitted project on 50 for the tree clearing work that's associated with the road widening of Route 20 that DOT is looking at a final design now. There were abutter notifications during that process, as typical with the notice of intent.
So
Never received it.
She apparently didn't get one. Do you have did you send those certified mail or registered
Yeah,
mail?
we provide those to the Conservation Commission. They verify that, everybody's been notified before they'll open the hearings.
Could you do me a favor and show her the fact that you sent her one?
I can try to find out.
And stay in communication with her so she's not,
I'm the president, also the president of the corporation, so I receive all notices or anything like this, and I work in the office. And to my knowledge, nothing came in. I do the mail every day.
that, I don't know one way or the other. But that's done by the Conservation Commission, not the Planning Board, that permission. Go ahead.
Just also for the record, we are not filing on that lot. This application tonight has nothing to do with that lot whatsoever.
It's for the road widening.
It's for the
Correct.
road widening and work on an adjacent lot, correct?
So using it as a storage lot, basically, for materials and stuff.
It'll be a staging area for
Yeah.
that road widening work. But it has nothing to do with the application that we're.
Right, I understand that.
It just,
further down the
the road widening does affect that lot, that's all, even,
Well, that's the whole point of that road widening, is they have a right turn lane for the trucks to go in and out of there, so they're not holding up traffic on Route 20. If there's a red light, they can go to the right and get off Route 20. That was the whole point of that road widening. So if we didn't do that, and they stopped at the light, both of you, and I'm not criticizing you, because I understand your concerns, you being here saying, well, they didn't do anything, we got traffic backed up in front of our house all the time with trailer trucks. Because they didn't put a right turning lane in. That's what that whole lane is for, is to avoid that.
well, we understood.
Look out your window out of your trailer park, you don't see a line of trailer trucks waiting to get into Ross Express or this building. That was the whole point of the turning lane.
I
And to make the road
understand that,
safer.
we understand that things were gonna happen. We were just hoping to be kept in the loop, and we weren't blindsided by taking down the whole forest. That's all.
I understand, maybe they need to do a better job of communication. Go ahead, Doreen. Just speak loudly, I'm not gonna make you walk up.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. So, just to follow up on what you said, absolutely, the turn lanes will be appreciated. But, it's the unknown of where we are in the process. Is another large warehouse going to be approved before Mass DOT finishes their review and we get the turn lanes in? And again, you said an unknown tenant. You don't, and that's it, the fear of the unknown. And we know, sorry to say this, but we know that, Mass DOT may take some time to do this. We've got, I assume they have the easement through National Grid. Is that going to need another review, for the turning lanes? This all takes time, and in the meantime, we're filling it with tenants before we address the safety concerns.
Well, we don't have any tenants now, but I don't know when they're gonna come in, but I'll be bringing that up if you hang around.
I'm hanging around.
Anyone else have any questions? One thing I can request from the developer is please be more communicative. Even if you go knock on doors and tell people what's going on, it'll make them a lot happier, relieve people from coming up to the town.
And I'll just say, Mr. Chairman, we don't receive individual notices, even the people who are abutters right there, that Winbrook Acres is one address,
Correct.
and so one notice goes to the office.
Well, if the notice goes to the office, it's up to the office to notify you.
And she has, and that's why I said we didn't know about the other one. But I'm just so board members are aware, I'm just making you aware that, because it's unique, like, we don't all receive a butter notification. A butter notification goes to 125? 120.
Yeah, because they own the land.
Because it's all one thing. Just so board members know that we're not, 100 homes aren't receiving a butter notification, one notice is going.
That's by law, I mean.
Yeah, I'm just
Because
saying.
legally, you're not in a butter.
Yeah,
You don't own the land, you only own the trailer.
right.
Any other questions?
No.
Marcus? Don?
Can someone touch on two things? One, I think the lady spoke about it, the encroachment of some of those trailers that was on your property. And I know it went back and forth since you've owned it and we're looking at the development, but I know the last thing that I remember was that Eastland was gonna settle or do something with the people, so they would not have to worry about that and would not have to think of their land being that they were encroaching. You were gonna either donate that land or to each individual party that needed it, or to the whole trailer park, so that it was not now an encroachment.
That,
Someone answer that,
that
Chris?
was the recollection. So, yeah, once the development of that property comes, that will be addressed. The application tonight isn't for that property that is abutting the condo.
But I mean, I think we have the best intentions to address that and have a favorable outcome for everybody. You know, I think.
I got one comment for best intentions, if butts were
No, I
candy,
know,
that's
I
what
mean,
we
when we
do
get
for
to
Christmas.
50, I think I don't think.
Put it in writing.
Put my foot in my mouth, but I think.
Put it in writing to the trailer park, that you're going to gift them the land once you get done. That way, everybody's at ease down there. That's all it takes, is one letter.
We've had several meetings with them. I mean, initially, before we did anything, we sat with them. Both of these ladies have my cell phone numbers. That's true. You know, my emails, they're welcome to call me anytime. I think they both know that. But if there's anything we can do to be good neighbors.
Can I just touch on that?
Yeah.
Basically, all the communication about the encroachment stopped after we refused to let Eastland tie into our sewer lines. So there's been no more talk about it since then. And it just stands hanging out there in the air.
I thought that even after that, that I had heard that you were gonna settle it up and donate that land in some form or fashion.
Because it's not useful to you, it's not a lot of land.
No, it's not.
It's really not. It's a little border on the edge of your property.
And they probably have been using it for well over 20 years, and you know, so.
The only problem with that is if you own the trailer that's encroaching, you do not own the land.
We
You're
do,
so-
we do. We're a co-op, we all own the land.
You all own the land?
We all own land. We're the only one in town. We're all owners.
It's a corporation,
It's a
resident-owned corporation.
resident-owned corporation.
So it's like a condo complex, you own the land.
We all own.
So if there's any scuttlebutt about this between them not wanting to give you the land, you ever heard of adverse possession?
Oh, yeah.
You can take it by adverse possession. But you gotta be open and hostile about it, you gotta do all the communications, you gotta talk to the lawyers, all that stuff.
We wanted to try to avoid that and do it in a
Correct.
peaceful way.
Correct.
And I
Try-
thought
try
that
to
you
avoid
guys
that.
had agreed to do that.
Go ahead, Dory.
Can I make one last comment about tonight's hearing? And, because I'll bring it back to this development here. If anyone knows me, it's not, I'm not a NIMBY. I know that this project is going to happen. I've served on the Board of Selectmen for 12 years. I've been a town meeting member. I just want to make sure that the best thing is done for all the residents of Auburn, the people coming from Old Common Road and Millbury Street, and, you know, and everything else, and the people who live east of us. This is not personal because number one, I'm a resident at Winbrook Acres, and because there's that encroachment. My voice has been heard at more planning board meetings, selectmen meetings, zoning board of appeals meetings, because I truly care, and there's some legitimate concerns here, some legitimate safety issues that everyone can work out. And I appreciate the dialogue.
Okay,
John?
go ahead, Ron.
Can you just describe to me from where Winbrook Acres is, and you're heading southwest up Route 20, you cleared up to like the line there, and it's cleared maybe up 50, 75 feet off the road, and then you come up, and then you get to the high tensions, and then right beyond the high tensions, before Commerce, there's a definite area of wetlands that you can see. Now, I'm just curious for myself, where are those, how are those lanes gonna be? You're gonna build actually another road off the side of the road? You're gonna have to build it up, and can you just explain that a little bit, even if it's not exactly part of your application tonight?
Yes, so that road will be widened to accommodate that right turn deceleration lane into Commerce Drive.
Into Commerce.
Which the temporary work is done now. It's in the final stages of design from DOT. They're reviewing it. So the permanent work is still yet to be done. But that will be widened. There'll be a combination of a retaining wall where that crossing is that you mentioned just before the high tension line. There's a couple of head walls there. So a combination of a retaining wall and a slope going down to meet that existing grade. So that's what will happen.
I know there was some wetlands in there, you'll go to the conservation, and I see bale stuff all over, so.
So that work for that widening has been approved by conservation, that work down to the wetland line. That's correct.
Thank you.
Anything else, Ron?
No,
Todd?
Yeah, I just got a couple questions. Do you know the status or the timeline on Mass DOT's final approval of the changes on Route 20?
Never put a timeline on somebody else, but especially Mass DOT, but I know they're in the final stages of working out that work. I would anticipate sometime this spring,
Spring for approval?
yeah,
And then you'll be constructing it over the summer?
presumably over the summer into the fall.
Okay. And you guys are funding the construction?
Correct.
Okay. Couple other questions based off of what Doreen said. Is there a possibility for you to move your driveway into this location further back from the intersection to prevent that potential queuing issue?
Move that driveway
So the
back.
driveway in, from the driveway into this site, move it further down on Commerce in order to eliminate the queuing issue that Doreen pointed out is a potential.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not practical because Commerce Drive comes down and the way the site is, I'm not sure how well you can see here, but the grade getting up to that pad level is just not practical for tractor-trailer trucks and maneuverability.
Okay. A couple other questions. On C9, I assume the fire department reviewed the auto turn analysis. Are they comfortable with the thought of their engines getting dead-ended in those two parking areas? Normally, when they come before us, they want to avoid those types of situations where they're sort of dead-ended or need to back out.
Sure.
To exit.
Yep. So, they did review this. Like I said, we had a follow-up meeting with them. They were okay with, the end on the Mass Pike side because it would have this turnaround. It would simply back down. They were okay with that. In this location, which you will see on the revised plans, we've actually provided a little bump out here. So when they come up into this, they'll be able to back out into this corner.
So they'll be able to
come
do a
out.
K-turn, basically?
Right,
Okay.
right. And they were accepting of that little turnaround, so that is a change that you would see on the revised plan.
Okay. The last thing is, future looking to this, you built the sidewalk on Commerce Drive opposite where this property is located, but there's no walkway from this area over to that sidewalk. Have you guys thought about putting in a walkway leading to that sidewalk?
Across the street?
Across Commerce, not across Washington.
No,
Yeah.
crosswalk.
Well, I mean a walkway on the property line and then a crosswalk going across to the street, across to the sidewalk. And if there's one there, I apologize, I'm looking at a 8.5 by 11 plan, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're saying there's no connection from this lot?
Yeah, there's no
to the
pedestrian,
existing-
exactly, there's no pedestrian connection over to that sidewalk that was put in. And when there is a pedestrian connection, assuming, that you guys put one in, there should also be some handicap ramps put on that side of the sidewalk, so it's ADA compliant as well.
Yeah, that's something we can look at, having a connection from this facility to that existing walk.
And what's the timeline of this building construction of this building relative to the improvements on Route 20 being completed?
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think depending on when Mass DOT finishes the design, we'd like to start, we'd like to gear up the construction on Route 20 as soon as we have the design, from that. I mean, there's no reason we don't want to just get it done. And we'd like to start construction on this building, as soon as we get approval from you folks. Assuming we get approval from you guys, So sort of probably be working at the same time, but I would say the DOT, the Route 20 rebuild would be done well before we were ready for any occupancy on this property.
Okay, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
I got a couple questions, but one basic question. You don't know what's coming in here.
For
in this
tenants,
building, correct?
correct.
You have no idea.
Correct,
You have 26 loading docks, correct?
correct.
If you can't sell it to a trucking company, how can you tell me how many parking spaces you can have for that building when you don't know how many people are gonna be in there?
You're right, it's speculative at this point. If it changes and we need to come back,
Personally, I cannot approve anything on speculation. I have to have the facts. What's gonna go in there? Is it gonna be another trucking terminal like Ross Express down the back? I mean, I haven't heard any complaints from the Packagug Hill with the backup alarms, but you may hear them from, I don't know how far this actually is from the trailer park. I don't know how many feet that is.
yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but it's, I know we talked about it during the subdivision and during Ross Express specifically, but it's pretty far.
There's enough vegetation to kill the backup alarm noise, so they're not waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning because you're supposed to work, 7 to 9 at night or whatever, and then they're in at 2 o'clock in the morning, or
Yeah, based
6 a.m.
on,
on a Sunday morning.
I mean, we're on Route 20, right, with the traffic generated there and I'm tucked into the Mass Pike. My guess is these alarms and this truck traffic from this facility is not gonna drown out that existing noise.
The other concern I have is, we don't know who's coming in there, we don't know what their hours of operation are, but I almost remember distinctly what the hours of Ross Express were supposed to be. That was promised to us, that's not the case. I'm pretty disappointed. It was supposed to be Monday through Friday, like 7 or 6 in the morning till 11 at night. They were supposed to shut everything off, half a day on Saturday, and that was it. No Saturday afternoon, no Saturday night, no Sunday. And she's telling me you got traffic going in and out of there on Sunday.
Yeah, I can't verify that. I've not been keeping up with their
Like I say
facility,
it, I
but
really say it, it's BS. That's BS. That's not what the people were promised, that's not what Ross Express promised. So,
We can look into that. We can work with you guys. We can talk to Steve Brown. Steve Brown's a stand-up guy that owns Ross Express. He really is, so I'm happy to take that on to look into that and find out. I'm not saying, I'm gonna have to look into that,
please do.
Find out what's really going on.
Because to me, until that situation is resolved, I'm not the only one voting here, but personally, I don't think I could vote to approve this, even if you met all the criteria, if that problem is not resolved. Just saying.
yeah, but the,
I mean, just to be fair to the neighbors. I mean, you're not responsible for Honda across the street or anything like that. One last time, Doreen.
It's about this, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's not like heavy, constant traffic.
Doesn't matter.
I'm just saying, I don't wanna mislead the board, it's not like, 7 o'clock in the morning when you're all heading to the Mass Pike and 146, but there is traffic, and I said, I'm from a family of truck drivers. Sometimes they have to come in and out at different hours, but we also need to respect what was promised.
Absolutely.
But I do not wanna mislead this board, it's not like 7 a.m. traffic that like,
To me, it doesn't matter if it's 15 trucks on a Sunday morning or 1. There wasn't supposed to be any. Or after 9 o'clock or 5 o'clock on a Saturday, I don't remember the exact times.
Adam, do you have the specific?
I'd have to go
look it
back
up.
and look it up, I don't have it off the top
John,
of my
I
head.
got another.
Go ahead.
Chris, does Ross own that lot? So they're a private entity now, they own the lot. So they would have to commit to the conditions that we set when they,
They permitted their own building,
right. And what they told us at the time and what we conveyed to the board, we were
They
not.
were here and said it themselves.
We were not misleading if they're doing something that we were not aware of during permitting and that we said.
I believe Ross Express was here, and those are the hours they set. And if they're not living up to the hours,
We weren't here for Ross. They bought the lot
yeah,
off the subdivision. It's their building, it's their business.
right.
We're not the landlords.
I understand where you're coming from.
I appreciate where you're coming from.
Any other questions? May I have a motion to continue this to our next meeting if they get all the reviews done?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Myself, John, and I, is a vote. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time.
Next on the list is applicant Mass 10 Enterprises LLC requesting special permit under section 3.2.5.3 of the Auburn zoning bylaw for a drive-through restaurant at 824 Southbridge Street, Auburn, Mass. 01501, map 66, parcel 148, continued from our 1/24/2023 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Mass 10 Enterprises?
I don't see him.
Being none, may I have a motion to continue that?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Marrakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Reed, is an aye. It is continued. It is a vote. Applicant Nordic Industrial Properties requesting site plan approval under 9.4 of the Auburn zoning bylaw in addition to an existing structure and new freestanding structure for commercial/industrial use at 1214 Sword Street, Auburn, 01501, map 11, parcels 13 and 144. This has been continued also from our 1/24/23 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Nordic Industrial Properties?
Yes, good evening. I'm Ron Mendez from Graves Engineering, speaking on behalf of Nordic Industrial Properties for the proposed project at 12 and 14 Sword Street. Our first meeting was sometime in December, so if I may recap a bit of it. The property is currently developed with multiple buildings, primarily used for industrial and commercial purposes. There is an existing residence and a detached garage on the property, as well as paved parking areas throughout the property. The project proposes to demolish the residence and the detached garage and construct a 60-foot by 60-foot single-story building, as well as construct a 60-foot by 100-foot addition. As part of the project, also, they want to expand the existing parking areas and increase the number of parking spaces from 70 to 85 in order to comply with the parking requirements. The project also proposes to install stormwater mitigation features, such as a bioretention area and underground infiltration system, and as well as some associated piping. Due to the amount of disturbance, we have applied for a major land disturbance permit, and there is an existing intermittent stream on the property towards the westerly property line, as well as wetlands, and we are in the process with the Conservation Commission. We have also received peer review comments. At this point, we're up to the second peer review letter. The first one obviously focused on the suggested recommendations or revisions. The second letter has pretty much summarized that that the revisions were acknowledged, I guess satisfactory. And I believe that might be the overall scope of the project. If there are any questions that I may answer, please let me know.
Anyone in the audience have any questions? No? Samara, do you have any questions?
No.
Rakesh, do you have any questions?
No questions at this time.
Ron?
You're not gonna do any disturbing near the brook? The brook is on the southwest boundary, right? Runs along the back part of the property?
Along the
and
westerly
up the
side of the
bank and
property.
Colonial and that, yeah.
We would be doing work within the buffer area, but that's something that we're working with the Conservation Commission at this point.
I'm all set.
Todd?
No.
Okay, I just got a quick question, just whipping through this real quick. C-105, you have two sewer services coming out of the same building. I don't understand why.
Let me.
Gotta be a reason, but
Okay. Oh, you mean the rear building?
the rear building, yes.
Yes, in that particular case, it's because one would be for I guess, regular sanitary sewer services, and the other one is because that one actually makes a connection to the proposed overhead doors on the other side of the building. So in this case, since we're trying to install an oil and water separator,
Okay.
that would be the second connection.
The other thing I just noticed is your sewer service, your 6-inch sewer service, it looks to me like it says 6-inch sewer service invert 492 at building, then it says 8-inch PVC 17 feet at 3%. So I don't know if it's an 8-inch service or a 6-inch service, or it's because I'm looking at an 11 by 14 plan.
You said 17 feet at
It's in the rear
3%?
building as well.
Maybe mistaken, but I believe it should say, well, I guess the version that I have says 6 inches, but I
They
could.
both say 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
You have to wait for conservation, right?
That's a standard condition that all town approvals are met, so.
So you're the signature. You got a lot to talk about.
The detail for granite curbing on C501, I believe the standard now is that you have concrete underneath, in front, and in back of the curbing. So if it does get hit by a plow, it doesn't want to lean over, it can't. It's got support on both sides. I've seen that on all the granite curbing details in town now, in the state.
Okay, let me look into it then.
Okay, okay, that's your walkway. On your bollards, I would recommend the same if it's gonna be galvanized, to put the plastic over it, because I don't care what painter or what epoxy manufacturer's gonna tell you. I'll go up to one that's been prepared properly, take a cord and scrape it off in 2 days. It just does not last.
Understandably so.
I fight about it on all my jobs all the time. I'm not picking on you, I'm just telling you what it's like.
No problem.
I don't see anything jumping out at me. Anybody else see anything jumping out at them?
John, I have a, so just looking at the
Comments?
comments, there are a few things that, you know, so for example, the, in comment number 6, the parking area in the front of the concrete block warehouse does not adhere to our bylaws, and looks like Graves wanted to keep it as the existing non-conforming parking.
Yes, that is an existing parking area. At this time, we we don't propose to alter that parking area except for restriping and formalizing the parking spaces there. We're not increasing, again, the amount of pavement or reducing it.
Does anyone on the board have an objection to making a motion to approve plan as long as they meet the requirements of the Conservation Commission?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. I always forget that.
Can I just ask one other question?
Sure.
Going back to comment number 10, your dumpster's not screened. Is there a reason why you're not screening it, other than it's sitting behind the building?
To my knowledge, that's really it. At this point, if you go, respectfully, I mean, you go there now and the dumpster's there, I guess. As to why and stuff like that, it's like that, I don't know, but we haven't considered adding screening to it.
So can I ask a question on that, maybe for Adam? If the, so if the proposal does not adhere to the bylaws, and if the planning board accepts it, is there an exception? Are we granting an exception?
Did they get a special
Yeah, that's what
permit for that?
No, the planning board can waive that, so you can
That requirement.
vote as part of the approval, if they have less parking, if you approve the plan. You don't need any special.
Thank you.
So is there an objection to screening it?
Off the top of my head, I would not know, but maybe I should defer.
No, there's no objection to screening.
And Todd, probably 7 or 8 months of the year, 7 months anyways, it's not visible even from the homes in the distance because the weeds are on the tree.
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's not visible from the homes 100% of the time, like the bylaw requires.
Anybody else? I have one more question. Forgive me if I don't see it. Snow storage?
I believe snow storage should be on page C-103. Let me
103?
confirm that before I start sparring off any nonsense.
Yeah, it's right here, it's 103.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yes, it should be on sheet C-103. So for instance, there are some spots, namely at towards the southeasterly corner.
I see. Is that gonna be big enough for that, all your parking lots to dump the snow there, or are you gonna haul the stuff off-site if you have to?
We'd have to consider hauling it.
Okay. Anybody have an objection to making the exception for the parking spaces?
Can you close the hearing first?
I won't ask for any
Okay.
objections. Any objections
No.
before I do that? May I have a motion to close the hearing?
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
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 Myself, John Regan, and I, it is a vote. This meeting is, now, may I have a motion to approve said plan, allowing them to make the modification on the parking, and as long as they meet the Conservation Commission.
I'll make that motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Can I make a friendly
Sure.
amendment that they're going to screen the dumpster?
Yes.
Thank you.
Include that amendment to screen the dumpster. Myra?
Aye.
Markesh? Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, and I, it is a vote. You all set?
All right, thank you kindly for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is applicant Robert Lemansky for GL McKinstry Trust for a definitive subdivision plan for a two-lot, single-family home development with the site improvements on property located at Clare Drive and Linda Ave, Auburn, Mass. 01501. This has been continued from our 1/24/2023 meeting. Is there anyone here representing Mr. Lemansky? There being none, may I have a motion to continue this hearing?
Can I just ask one question?
Sure.
How long do we keep continuing this? I mean, this is,
I've spoken to the engineer a
Still
couple
interested in-
times. They're looking to go forward. They are waiting, last I heard, from comment from DPW on the land disturbance. They wanted to incorporate that into the plans we're bringing to planning board. There's been some back and forth. I don't know what that status is. I was hoping they'd be here, but I'll touch base with them tomorrow to get an update.
so they're actively working on it with staff?
Yep,
It's
they have a
not that
new
they're just-
engineer that's
Okay.
from last year, and
Thank you.
May I have a motion to continue this hearing to our next meeting?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a
Second.
All those in favor? Samara?
Aye.
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Regan, is an aye. Is now continued. Other business, Commerce Drive bond reduction. You didn't hang around for that?
I know they left.
You didn't hang around for that?
well, yeah, and Steve O'Connell was on the computer, but he's not now.
Okay,
I
so,
can give you an update if you want. or you
sure,
can-
give us a quick update, but I don't think I'm gonna
So-
vote on it tonight.
The original bond that was in place, Graves did in December 2021. They had a total amount of 1.178 million, approximately. Graves did another construction estimate for the proposed reduction, and the new total they're looking to reduce it to is $567,000.
From what, Adam, again?
567,000.
From what amount?
1.1 million, 1.2 million, about cut it in half.
And what did, who
Graves.
analyze?
Graves did it,
And what did they say it should be?
567,000. It's So Graves did both analysis, both the original, which was approximately 1.2 million, and now Eastland's looking to drop it to $567,000.
Graves said.
Yep.
Okay, but it's up to us to set the number.
Yep.
And we can appeal it to him.
Yep.
I think we should maybe go to 650 or something and just have a little extra in there to make sure that anything was missed. Doesn't hurt.
That's up to you. You can do that.
How we handle that with a motion?
Yep, you need a motion.
There isn't a meeting open. There isn't a meeting to close. So on this Commerce Drive bond reduction, may I have a motion to make it $650,000 for the bond instead of 1.2 million?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Good job. Reading myself as an aye, it is a vote. Henshaw Street Solar Array Extension Request. For some odd reason, they're still being held up by National Grid. Don't know how long can we keep extending this? Have they done any work there yet?
I don't think,
Maybe
John,
they're
they've
over there.
done anything, and from when I talked to different people at National Grid and others, they said they're not sure they're gonna, they may not be accepting all of these because the amount of substation or new facility they have to build themselves to accept it and to utilize it is, it's just not something they wanna do. I'm not sure if that's gonna happen, but it's,
I wasn't aware of that.
they could continue to just keep extending. I know some people that had options with them, just said, no more, because it prevents them from selling the property to something else or doing something else with it.
I am on, sir, for the project. This is Adam Christie. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, he's online.
Okay, didn't know you were online.
Yeah, I've been waiting around. Apologies, last two meetings have been canceled, and I stuck around tonight. So again, Adam Christie with ProTech Energy. I'm the one that submitted the extension, Vice President of ProTech.
So how long do you think it is, do you have any idea when National Grid is going to approve it?
So this actually isn't in National Grid's hands anymore. The first extension request that we had, I'd have to look at the letter I'm trying to find now, but when we first made the extension request with yourself, the planning board and zoning, we weren't really giving a solid timeline. Well, National Grid has finally made their decision, which actually occurred in February of this year. And they've decided, because of their impending improvements, and I believe there is a substation planned in Auburn that sort of this project and others locally are kind of waiting on. So they've recommended that this project then be moved to a Department of Public Utilities capital investment project study. It's a mouthful, but we've been getting the runaround for a while. Obviously, this project was initially approved in March of 2019, and we have every intent, working with the landowner, to develop this project for solar. And, we're hanging on by threads here because this project, this study, they didn't give us a timeline, but everything we've heard, recently, they've met their deadlines that they've given us. And everything that we're hearing now for the completion of this second study should wrap up in about 12 months, which is why we're asking for the 12-month extension. I believe your bylaw states a 6-month, but, at a time, an extension. And the last time we extended, we were granted a 12-month. So in this case, the 12-month may cover us to the point where we then have to request an extension until the end of construction. So we need a definitive answer by the end of the year from the DPU on this. This isn't going to be held up in perpetuity. We're not going to continue to make extensions. I mean, we've had a lot of money invested and time. The landowner has been involved with us for solar for, I think, 7 years now, 6 or 7 years. He's been working with us in discussions. So we're really trying to get this to work out. And we don't want to hold the town or anybody hostage. This landowner, if he can't do solar, he may look to do something else. So that's just where we stand. You know, unfortunately, our hands are tied, but we are confident that something's going to shake out and we're going to have a much better answer from DPU and National Grid by the end of the year.
So you're saying that you would not request an additional 1 year if we granted that after that point?
If I remember correctly, I'm sorry. The site plan approval expiration date isn't just good until the issuance of a building permit. It has to be held until the end of construction. I believe that's what I was told last time, and I believe that is slightly different than zoning board, which requires that a building permit is issued prior to the expiration date. Am I correct in that assessment?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
So this 12-month request really takes us until we get a better understanding on whether or not the DPU, which is an unfortunate second study we got thrown into, is going to move this forward. At that point, we have to make a decision with the landowner because, like I said, he's been involved for so long. We've been involved. At some point, you know, this comes down to economics for us, for the landowner, and we would need a second extension beyond, or I should say a third. So the one we're requesting now takes us until we get more information from DPU. And then at that point, we'll have a decision we need to make with the landowner in these permits on realistically where things stand. Unfortunately, it's just an unknown with this DPU study, which we hope takes 12 months from what we're hearing. Or I should say,
Is this going to be the last
8 to 9
extension
months
you
from now.
asked for?
He's saying no,
This
he
would
needs
not-
more information.
No, yeah, exactly.
Saying this will bring them to the end of the year just
should
from
get us
the
an answer.
utilities and
How
from
to
the
move
other
forward.
people. Then after that, they got all their other planning. But I mean, if at the end of the year, they got something consensual from those entities that says, yeah, okay, we're gonna let you do it, it's just a matter of time.
I think it's the building
But, you know, and I think maybe we should grant one more, or even if it's a 6-month, whatever it is, whatever the board wants to do, and then after that, really take a good look at it. And really,
Just for my understanding, so the project, Chris, you said this is in it, so the study is now in the DPU's hands and not National Grid or ISO New England?
Correct. National Grid has recommended this for further evaluation at a much larger scale, which is the capital investment project study. So what took forever with National Grid with no end in sight finally wrapped up, but we do have an understanding that this should take approximately till the end of the year with the DPU.
Given that these studies, you know, they typically tend to provide some updates in the middle, can we?
Not really.
Not really?
Unfortunately, they don't. No. I'm a civil engineer by trade, not electrical engineer, but our interconnection team, you know, over the last few years since we've had our approval, as much as we've pushed National Grid, it's, you know, they tell us a date and they miss that date. Then they tell us another date, then they miss that date. And now that it's in DPU's hand, they don't have an end date, but everything that we've been hearing is that it's been taking 12 months. And that is, 11 to 12 months, which is right from when we started the study in February. So we're hoping for a definitive answer by the end of the year.
Could we?
So the process is they'll issue the results of their study, and then at that point will be added to a queue for system impact studies, which then will turn into an interconnection service agreement. So like we'll know where this project is going at the completion, or I should say when we're giving notice by DPU. Like we'll know exactly the cost, the plan, you know, what the engineering looks like on their end. So we will know which direction we'll have to go. It's just that's going to then take time for all of the projects that are in this study in the, what is it called? The Spencer Rutland area group. So there's multiple projects that are in this study, you know, the CIP now, and they'll then prioritize the projects and give us a list of who's going to go first, second, third, And then essentially that's how it gets resorted from DPU back to National Grid. And then they finish their system impact study. Then they issue their ISAs. So
Not their fault.
that could take some time.
So you're saying, other than yourself, at that location, there's others that will be in the bowl, and, you know, they're gonna have to approve them all. They may approve some, they may not approve some. So they're gonna have to go through them all? Is that what you're kinda saying?
Correct.
It's not
They
just
are
you
studying a
that
group
National
of
Grid
projects
or
at the
the
moment.
DPU is making a decision on at the end of the year.
That is our hope by the end of the year, and that's what we're hoping to find out with this extension of 12 months, is to have a better understanding of where we stand as a project amongst many, especially in this area of Auburn,
So if,
with the improvements.
if this was resolved with National Grid by the end of the year, can you complete the job with a one-year extension from now?
No, we cannot.
How long is the project supposed to take? Once you get started?
So if we were to get DPU approval by the end of the year, and then it was given back to National Grid, that, the time it would take for that would probably cover the current extension we are requesting. At that point, we would then request a third and hopefully final extension to cover us from construction to COC.
2 years, basically.
Yeah.
From now until. So to the chair, they're asking for a 12-month extension, which is until June 7th, 2024. They're asking for the extension ahead of time.
Oh,
So
okay.
we can get it done, but it's June 7th of next year,
So it's 1 year from
June
our
7th.
last extension?
Yep.
I don't have a problem with that, but does anybody else have any objections? May I have a motion to approve the request for extension?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Smiley?
Aye.
Rakesh? Ron? Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Regan's an aye. It is a vote. You got your extension.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
You do. Next on the agenda is modification to flex car at 525 Auburn, Washington Street. Is
It's on
anybody?
the computer. It's online.
Oh, yes?
Yep. We can't hear you. Nope. Still nothing. If you want to try dialing in on your phone and just do a call that way, or we get audio that way.
Sure. I'm just gonna log off my computer.
No, we
I'll
got
dial
There you go. Now we got you.
Can we see yes? No, I don't think so.
Can you give us a rundown of exactly what you want to do so everybody understands, even people that may be listening online?
Sorry, can you hear me now?
You're in and out.
Okay, I'm trying to log in on my phone to see if that might help. I'm sorry, it's just taking a minute.
For 362 spaces, you only need 5 handicap.
Yes, that sounds right. Most of the site is just car
It's just
storage
a-
like
yeah.
this.
All right. No surprise, Lux Auto moved. They took over the old Perro's Auto.
Hmm?
Over the old Perro's
Yeah.
Auto.
If you do not have a PIN, just press pound or hash. Okay, I'm also on my phone now. Can you hear my audio now?
Kind of cutting in and out.
How about now? Is that any better?
Yeah, keep trying, keep talking, and we'll see if you cut out again.
Okay. I'm gonna try logging off of my computer and just going on my phone.
I think we got you now.
Okay. Great.
So if you give us a rundown of the minor changes you want to make to the lot, we know it's it was an existing car lot, so.
Sure. Would it be helpful to provide an overview of FlexCar, or just go straight to the site plan modification?
You go right to the site plan modifications, I think.
Okay. So we're really just proposing 4 minor changes. We'll be restriping the lot as reflected on the site plan. The restriping will generally reflect what's on the lot right now. I'm sorry, just one second. I'm getting a bad echo on my end. Okay, let me try that again.
Already asking for a pillow and a blanket.
Okay, I'm really sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. So I'll just quickly start over. So the 4 main changes we're proposing are we are going to be preparing and sealing the lot. So we'll be also restriping as part of that process. When we restripe, it will generally follow the layout that's currently at the site right now, and that's reflected on the site plan. We'll be sure to maintain fire access as part of that restriping. Then we'll also be adding a fence around the side and back of the site. There's a fence in place along a portion of the perimeter right now, but we'll be repairing what is there in some areas where it's in bad condition, and then adding a fence in other areas where it doesn't exist. And then we'll also be putting a gate on both the east and west sides of the building to basically control access to the back end of the site. We'll install a Knox box at the gate so that we can maintain emergency access to the back of the site. Then we'll also be installing 4 new electrical vehicle chargers at the rear of the building. Those will just be charging our fleet vehicles and will not be chargers that are available to the public. So that's a quick rundown of the changes that we're proposing.
If these gates are automated, does somebody have like a pass that's hung on the rearview mirror or something, they drive up and it opens, or a slide card for the gate to get it open, or is it just automated from the inside of the building?
So they will be basically during our hours of operations, they'll be unlocked, and then when we're closed and not operating, they'll be locked and automated so that there'll be Knox box access, and that way when emergency personnel, if there is an emergency and need to access the rear of the site, they can automatically open the gate through the Knox box.
Now, how would they automatically open the gate? I'm kind of missing that. I mean, like a fire department.
Sure. So my understanding is, it's fairly common for fire departments to use these Knox boxes for access to secured areas, so that they would essentially have some form of key to the box that would allow them to have access to the back of the site through this Knox box.
So they turn the key and the gate opens?
Right. My understanding is it's a little more complicated than just like a standard key, but it's essentially like a means of emergency access that fire departments use from time to time. And our designer who prepared the plan also discussed this with I believe, with the fire official, and confirmed this would be an acceptable solution.
I'm just trying to make sure that with the Knox box, that the fire department turns the key, the gate opens automatically. They don't turn the Knox box, it unlocks the gate, and they have to slide the gate manually. 20-foot gate's pretty
yes.
heavy.
So it's automated once they unlock it, so it's not like they have to like manually pry the gate apart or anything like that.
So, all right, it's automatic then. Anybody have any questions? Any concerns? May I have a motion to
I just
approve?
have one question, Adam. Sorry, I apologize, John. Is this I thought I saw a memo from Chief Lemon requesting cameras. Is that for this?
Recommending cameras.
Yeah, recommending cameras, et cetera, at this location. Have you reviewed that recommendation from the police chief?
Yes, sir. So we don't have a plan for cameras to open for when we open, but we took that suggestion into account, and our security manager would like to install cameras at some point in the future. But our understanding was that was a suggestion, not a requirement, and we're definitely taking that into account as part of our security program.
I think it would be advantageous for you if you did have the cameras, because if somebody gets into that lot and starts wreaking havoc with all these cars that are parked there, without cameras, you won't have any idea. You won't have a clue who did it.
So, certainly, yeah. And we, the fence and gate will enhance what's there in terms of security, and we do have other sites where we installed cameras, and my guess is that our security manager will like to go that route here in the relatively near future.
This is an electrified fence.
Yeah. So Adam, is the camera issue recommendation by Chief Lemon something that we can condition on this vote?
You can, I mean, it's kind of at their risk not to have them.
Right,
yeah, it's their own risk.
Not a public safety thing.
The chief can't require it,
Okay, so
it's just a recommendation.
Okay, so it's just, the chief cannot require it, it's just a recommendation?
Yeah, it's for their benefit to have it, and
For their benefit.
it's at their risk not to.
Just want to make sure that we're taking into account the opinions of our public safety officials.
That's a kind of a standard comment for all the projects that he has, is cameras.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns? Todd?
We need two motions, one that it is a minor modification, and
May I have a motion that this is considered a minor modification?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Rakesh, Ron?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Reeves, and aye. May I have a motion to approve this minor modification?
I'll make,
Go ahead, Ron.
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Rakesh, Ron?
Aye.
Aye.
Myself, John Reeves, and aye. It is a vote. It's been approved. You're all set.
Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the meeting minutes of 1/24/2023. May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes as submitted?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Todd? Myself, John Reeves, and aye. It is a vote. I have no unforeseen business. Does the town planner have an update?
two very, very brief ones. We're looking for an associate planning member still. We'd love to have one. And pre-town meeting is April 25th. There's a couple zoning changes. Those will be here at the next meeting, but there's a pre-town meeting for the residents or anyone interested on the 25th in this room at 6 PM. That's all I have.
Nothing else from anybody? No concerns? May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make the motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, Samara?
Aye.
Aye.
Rakesh?
Aye.
Ron?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Myself, John Reeves, and I. It is a vote. The meeting is now adjourned.
In a hurry.